Hi.
Here we are.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Good. I think I have chips in my teeth.
Good. I have a brand new laptop.
Hey, new laptop.
So today I get to be in charge, guys. Why? Because one of these authors is not like the other. And unlike these lovely feral ladies, I don't actually live in the New England area. So I'm going to ask some random questions. I'm going to try to keep my language clean for at least the first 10 minutes. I almost failed already. Sorry, Jeremy. And we're going to not promise to stay on the rails at all because we're feral and we don't follow the rules. We do what we want. So,
which kind of fits with New England a little bit, I think.
Right.
Like that whole absolutely, colonial rebellion thing. That was a thing.
It's a theme.
Yeah.
I like the vibe. So we will do what we normally do, and we will introduce ourselves, starting with Kacey, who is
hi.
Not looking.
Hi, I'm Kacey Ezell. I am as feral as they come. I also am a recent transplant to Massachusetts, and I am firmly and with both hands grasping the masshole identity because I love it. It speaks to my soul. These are my people. So I'm also an author. I write science fiction and fantasy and space opera, like these lovely volumes right here that are just happen to be placed there, not strategic at all. You can find all my work at kaceyezell.net. Haha, there it is, including the most recent one. Yeah, Remnants of Empire, which is actually an anthology I edited that is stories set in this universe. And Marisa and Melissa both have stories in it. And I didn't allow Trisha to come and do it because she's finishing her book.
Checks out.
Yep.
Priorities.
Yeah,
hi, Maya and Leah.
Hi. Hello, Maya. Hello, Leah. Thanks for coming, guys.
Hi, guys.
More feral ladies in the chat. I love.
Indeed.
Marisa, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Marisa Wolf. I am from the South Shore of Massachusetts. I spent all my days there, went out to Western Mass for college, and then fled the state as soon as I graduated. And literally like 2 weeks after I graduated, I was like, screw winter, I'm out. And then several years later, I have returned. We're not going to do that time math, but Kacey moved here. Many members of my family are still here. My husband got a job here. And so we made our triumphant return. And so returned to the land of my birth. Just in time for winter, moved back in January. So it feels like that was a giant FU to 22-year-old Marisa who fled the state.
So, and I guess me.
Yes.
And I'm Trisha Wooldridge. I was born and lived my entire life in Massachusetts. I started off in Western Mass in Springfield, which at the time was like the second largest city in all of New England, because New England's like a wee little area of the U.S., smaller than most states. Then I went to the South Shore to go to college at UMass Dartmouth, where I met my awesome husband by crashing his Rocky Horror Picture Show party during a hurricane in the first week of classes.
As
you do. And now we currently live in Worcester, in the house in the center of Massachusetts, where my husband grew up as a kid.
Worcester
currently getting a whole lot of internet traction thanks to Pommel Horseman.
Yes,
very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that video is
Steven, cool last name that I didn't look up before coming on here, but his first name's Steven.
Yes,
and he looks like Clark Kent. Yeah,
rocked it. Go Olympics.
Totally rocked it.
He made that stuff look easy, like so.
Oh, I know,
effortless.
That was a beautiful,
really cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and in my defense, I have actually been watching men's gymnastics for since I was a small child because my mom was a gymnast, and so we would legitimately watch gymnastics on TV. So I have actually. That's not like the first pommel horse routine I've seen. So I kind of know a little bit what I'm talking about when I say that was a beautiful routine.
Nice. I only watch the Olympics. I'm not gonna lie. I am an Olympic weather fan. but I am obsessed every time. I've now followed like 18 new Olympic athletes and all the Olympic channels because it's who I am as a person.
Every 4 years, I get really passionate about swimming.
So passionate. Handball, rugby, the things that I become.
Oh my God.
So good. Speaking of women's rugby team, just won bronze. I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
sure all of you out there need to know this. I mean, these are some feral fucking ladies.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
Anyway, these are some baller feral
Baller
ladies.
ladies.
Also women's gymnastics team just won their team gold.
Just won gold. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Olympics. Okay, right. Sorry, Melissa. Back. Focus.
Okay, hey, I'm Melissa Olthoff, and like I said, I don't live in the New England area. In fact, I have lived all over the place: Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio, Kansas City, and currently Tennessee, where it is sweltering. It's great out there, like 100+ degrees. I love air conditioning so much.
Mm,
I miss it.
yeah.
So we are
So
going
wordy, Dord. Thanks, Nick.
Yes.
Wow. Troll vision. Nick.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's okay. Maya's here to back us up on the no time math. So
Yeah.
That's
Maya
right.
is awesome. And so is Leah.
Yeah.
Nick, you're okay. All right. So I have this lovely pink sticky note with a bunch of random questions because I am a gosh darned professional.
heck
Yeah,
yeah.
you are.
Yes.
And I wrote this down like 2 hours ago. It's going to be fine.
Like a professional. I love it.
Like a professional. Sure. Yeah. Preparing
Mhm.
ahead of time. That's
And
right.
between watching Pommel Horse Guy like 3 times, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, per Kacey's excellent suggestion, because we were hanging out on Discord while I made my list, we were going to first talk about the creepy eldritch qualities that the New England area tends to have, and like that whole mystique that is
Oh yeah.
super freaking cool. So, Trisha, do you want to kick us off, because you're our guest, so you get to go first.
And our resident horror writer.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I think I'm the only one of us that writes like actual horror. Like you guys have some really wonderful dark stuff in all your books, but like
Officially,
so
you're it.
Yeah.
all right. So I also on the New England Horror Writers Board. So that's part of my job and stuff that I do. I mean, everything in New England is creepy. There are random graveyards everywhere.
Really old
There's like
for America.
these little the way suburbia works in most of New England is you've got these pockets of civilization and then pockets of wild woods that have grown up between them that were wild at one point, were like cut down for fields, and now they're just like these liminal spaces where you can actually run across gravestones or old foundations, where you run across all sorts of critters. It is like just rife with all of that. And then even in the cities, you have these little pockets of dark history in pretty much every single city in New England, because it goes so far back to, the Puritans. I mean, we have Rhode Island has, the vampire stories, and also H.P. Lovecraft, which I am a big fan of, like the weird movement that's kind of grown out of that, which is much more open to the queer population, to women, to writers of color. And in a couple of weeks, I will be at Necronomicon in Providence, Rhode Island, which actually happens during Waterfire, which is this really weird thing in Providence where they have like a river that runs through the capital city of Rhode Island. And they literally dress in robes. They have braziers along the water, and they just go down and light those braziers. And the streets are full of artisans, performers. Yeah, I know.
Sorry, you said robes and then braziers, and I was like, oh, it's a very Madonna situation. But
I was not thinking of the right way to first.
Yep.
I get it.
The bowls that you burn things
Just didn't know. Not better.
And
But like,
the streets are opened up for like artisans. People go and dance in these huge giant costumes. Chris asked, what about vampires in Rhode Island, like Mercy Brown? Y'all know Mercy Brown? First American vampire?
You should tell us.
So basically it was a tuberculosis thing, in
Mm.
theory, or maybe accurately, who
Or
knows?
maybe
Um,
vampirism, right?
Maybe.
maybe vampirism. But basically, if you want the long story, I will say go look up the vampire scare on Order of the Good Death, because Caitlin Doughty has an awesome, like, 45-minute breakdown of everything that happened. The short version is tuberculosis came and ravaged lots of cities. People weren't sure about what was causing it. Tuberculosis makes you very pale, brightens the color in your cheeks, and it's a blood, it affects your blood. Therefore vampires. So the whole family died. They thought it was mercy. And so they exhumed the body. The body hadn't actually rotted. So they cut off the head, moved the head, and put the body in upside down. That's like the short and not as cool version as there are out there. But
Still
a
pretty
lot of
cool.
people still make
The quick and
trips
dirty.
out to the cemetery in Rhode Island where Mercy Brown is buried in parts.
Very in parts.
So that's
Yikes.
the vampires in Rhode Island story.
She's here,
Yeah.
she's here, there, you know.
That's
You
right,
separate
yeah.
one
And
part
of
from
course,
the other parts.
you've got Salem in Massachusetts.
Of course.
And also the whole area around Salem is where a lot of the Lovecraftian, like Arkham and all of that, would have happened around there in the North Shore that wasn't already happening in Providence. I'm like doing this thing because in my head I see the map of New England.
It's perfect.
I assume.
And Connecticut is where you have the ghost hunters that have the Annabelle doll, and she'll be on display in the casinos in October.
Hard pass.
Maine has Stephen King and lots of all sorts of creepy stuff just in Maine, lots of ruins. We also have castles around, just random castles because people had money and like, we're just going to build a castle because we can. You have all these like stories of widows looking for the sailors that were lost at sea. You have all these awesome stories of ancient woods and a lot of folk horror about you've got the Bridgewater Triangle where there was a serial killer. Like, we have entire conventions about the creepy stuff in New England.
Yeah.
Can we also
them shortly?
Can we also just for a second talk a little bit about the weather? Yeah, no kidding, right?
Oh yeah, yes.
The weather up here in New England totally lends itself to that whole creepy vibe, right? So so my office is on the second floor of my house, but my house sits up on a hill. So when I look out my back window, I'm essentially 3 stories above the ground because you know the basement garage is under there, and then the first floor of my house, and then my office. And so I'm like looking out my tower window at my backyard, which is all trees. I wonder if I could even show you. Well, whatever. That'll make you sick. Anyway, my backyard, like I have those like, what is it like? I forget the word for it, but where it was cleared for farmland and then it was allowed to grow wild again. That's what's in my backyard. Yeah, that's those second growth forests, right? So yeah, like my kid and I've been back there walking, and there's like random stone wall, you know, that was like a property line divider that's back there that's crumbling. It's just there. I have no idea how long it's been there. It's super cool. But yeah, I mean, possibly, right? Like, who knows?
Probably.
And yeah, probably, right? But also because it is sort of like a more humid climate here, we get this fog, and the way that the fog behaves is so fucking cool. 14 minutes, I'm good.
It's too late. It's too early.
I know you already broke the seal. So the fog like rises up through the trees, and like it legitimately acts like it talks about in the books. Like, this is not an exaggeration when it says that like it like tendrils of it like sneak out of the trees, and then it spreads along the ground and then builds up on itself in layers. It's so cool, right? And then like when you get the full moon, and you know, you get those like wisps of clouds over it, like it's always Halloween here. It's bizarre, and it's super cool. All right, Nick, shut down. Okay,
I will
because I'm
absolutely
not
get
saying.
anyone a tour up
And
here
as
who
a
comes
matter of
up.
fact, I do fucking know humid. Okay, I
Yeah.
grew up in the goddamn Philippines. I will see your
Sure.
Florida bullshit and raise you a goddamn tropical rainforest.
Like I lived
It's
in
humid
Louisiana.
here.
So
It is not as humid as Florida. It is not as humid as the Philippines. But I know fucking humidity.
it is wet.
Stop.
We have the ocean
Yeah.
also. So
I'm in
Well, the
Memphis,
part is
where
like
we have
There are
no
ponds in my
mosquitoes.
backyard.
yeah, yeah.
You have to
and
see
you
when
know,
you
well, it's
shut
like it
up.
goes from
We'll
like
shut nothing down.
nothing,
You don't have
like
to. I'll shut
dry
you down
to
for
humid like
Oh,
that.
Lord.
Like out of the blue, you'll have like
Yeah.
a nice, easy, breezy day,
Yeah.
and then an hour later, you're like, I am soaked in sweat. Where
The air
the
is on top of
where
I'm
you.
did this
breathing a
humidity
sponge.
come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
real
So,
gross. I will
yeah,
agree.
I love-
It's not southern hot. No. And it's not southern
Mm-mm.
humid. No. But it is wetter here than it is
It's weird.
in
It's weird
say,
weather.
the West. And it
Yeah.
is very weird because we are far enough north and far enough east, and between the Appalachians, which ain't nobody gonna say aren't creepy, and the ocean, and the Atlantic Ocean
Mhm.
wants you to die. So
Right.
between
Yes, it
those
does.
two things that would prefer you to be a dead soul haunting their depths, the weather in between is awkward. Is all
Yeah.
we'll say.
It's
Yeah.
just
I would say
it lends
Michigan-
itself to that vibe.
Yeah.
Right?
Michigan is very much the same thing with the Great Lakes. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
north, but it is the most humid
Yeah.
place I've ever lived. It is a special hell.
Yeah. That's why the mosquitoes are so bad there, right?
Oh,
Like
all the little lakes everywhere, they call anything bigger than a 2-foot puddle a lake in Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, I have 2 lakes in my backyard. 2 Michigan lakes in my backyard. That's so cool.
Mosquito factories.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have
And
lakes
again-
that come and go in ours too. It's weird. We also have a murder basement, but that's a murder
Yes,
shed and
that's
clip.
pretty
Yes,
common.
I have a murder basement.
You know, that's what does.
Because the other thing I will add to the creepiness of Houston, there's also creepiness in Houston where I also live. Right?
Sure,
It's also very
sure.
humid.
Yeah.
And yes, Nick, you would complain if you lived here because you would freeze to death and die.
Right.
So
Is there anywhere Nick would live and not complain?
I mean, sure.
No.
The very unhappy history of people.
Mm.
So reality can influence the creepy factor for sure, and the whole like, I am sure there are pilgrim ghosts. I'm sure there are Native American ghosts. I am sure that the various waves of immigrants and settlers and whatnots that did not have life go super well for them, or the
Mhm.
winters that murdered people, wave after wave of people, or
Yeah.
the people that murdered wave after wave of people, or the mob violence, or any of those things.
Mob
I feel
murder.
like I'll contribute. There's a lot of murder.
Yeah.
Have in the past have contributed to like the general air of like so many times when we were looking at houses, I was like, well, this one's haunted, but is it like good haunted, or is it
Right. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
gonna end up pinned to the ceiling and dripping blood haunted? Because there are different kinds of haunted.
Yeah.
Like
There was a
baseline-
house.
Baseline
when-
haunted.
Yeah. Do you probably remember this, Marisa?
I remember
because
the
I kept
well in the
showing
kitchen.
it to you. Yeah.
Mhm.
There was a house that we looked at the listing for it, and it was from like the late 1700s. It had a well in the kitchen.
No.
Modern kitchen with
Ish.
running water,
Yeah.
but there was a no shit well
Brick.
in the kitchen. Brick. Yeah.
Big
Looking
enough
down
to sink
into
the
it.
bodies. Yeah, for sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. There was another house we looked at that was built in the 1920s. And this was the first time I'd ever seen this because I grew up around the world on military bases and stuff.
Mhm.
And most of the oldest houses I usually was living in or had ever experienced were built in the 1950s and 60s and the Cold War, right? Like, cause they were base housing or whatever.
Right.
This house had like the stone foundation and the stone basement. It legitimately, I was like, oh, this is a murder basement. Not every basement is a murder basement, but this one is because it's like stone. It's got the wires like stapled, to run the bare bulb light, the one single.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, like you would legitimately, like there were like rings set into the mortar between the stones. And I was like,
Sure.
are those for manacles? Like,
What else could they be for? Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, anything like hanging tools, I think is what they're really
No.
for. But yeah.
No.
It was wild. Leah has a good point. The base housing at F.E. Warren is haunted, but that's a special case because it used to be U.S. cavalry quarters when it was a cavalry base back in the 1800s. So yeah.
Murder.
Also, billeting is also haunted at F.E. Warren in Wyoming. But anyway, special case.
Yeah.
My
We're
point
not
is,
saying that New England has the like whatever, the only place
The
that's
lock.
haunted.
Right.
There you
Yeah.
are, yeah. I was like, that's
Yeah.
not it.
I
It's
feel
just-
like we could have a whole episode just on like places we've been that were absolutely haunted, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Cursed
Yes.
places.
I've done some ghost hunting things, and yeah, I have stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's.
yeah.
I mean, New Orleans is 100% haunted,
New
right?
Orleans?
Like,
Right.
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
just New England.
Yes.
However, I feel like our hauntings are especially tentacly. Thank you, H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because of the fog, right?
Fog. It all comes back
Right.
to the
Yeah.
fog in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do. That is one of the things that I love about living up here is that like that cool sort of eldritch vibe. And I love it because I'm safe in my brand new construction house that was built in 2023 that has no evil spirits or anything like that going on here. And I can look out my window and be like, wow, it looks really creepy out there. And it's so dark.
Are
Because
you
we
sure you
don't
haven't
have
tried to
like
build a swimming pool yet?
I have not tried to build a swimming pool yet. No, I have 2 ponds. That's all.
No, thinking about you guys. Thank you, Trisha.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna disturb anything.
Good job, us.
Yeah.
Yes.
New
Yeah.
house built on ancient Berry Grove. No, because I checked. Like I
I
checked.
looked at land records.
Am I new?
I mean,
I will say though, so I grew up was basically a suburb. Like Randolph is an
Yeah.
old mill town that was when I was growing up basically a suburb. It's one of those 30 minutes south of Boston, like in the apocalypse where there's no traffic, but it's a suburb.
By helicopter.
Yeah, maybe if like somebody slingshots you, maybe 30 minutes, but trebuchet. But anyway, the division that we lived in was like mostly duplexes, but at the end of the road there was this patch of woods, and it had one of those old trees. So I know it's not old growth, right? But it was second growth, and it had one of those really old 1700 stone walls that I would walk on, and you would like find stuff in between the rocks sometimes. And there's like this huge oak tree that had fallen over it. So there's like this little like it was perfect for like a 10, 11, 12-year-old to go wander, right? And you can't hear the road. And they're the other thing that I love about New England are the giant, I forget what they're called. They're like erratic boulders or something that the glaciers dropped on the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you'll have like flat ground, forest, flat ground, everything's normal, tiny hill, enormous 12-foot tall boulder. No other
Yes.
rocks, right? So like huge rock, old stone wall, fallen tree. I was positive that this was a portal into Fae if I could just be there at the right time. And I definitely one of the earlier short stories I wrote that was not about potatoes was about like this girl walking through the woods, and the way the light from the stone wall and the tree hit, she could just see the dragon in between, but he thought he was invisible, so he was just like rolling his eyes at her. And it felt like the kind of thing that could actually happen in these tiny wild spaces left in these places. And I just thought that was normal. And then I lived in places like Dallas, and it's not normal. Like you don't get that feeling everywhere in this country at all. So
That's a really good descriptor of tiny wild spaces, right?
Yep.
Like these just pockets of wilderness that just sort of like they sort of tenaciously come back. It's like, oh, you think you're going to civilize?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll see how that works out for you. You know, like, and
like
you're just
little.
yeah.
Oh,
Like you said, liminal spaces between worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's only our records.
Yeah. You know what? It's fine.
The way I was correct.
nice.
And also, yes, these spaces between worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a really cool title.
Yeah.
It's probably is one already.
I mean,
So.
it doesn't mean we can't do, new stories.
I know, right? Yeah.
Tiny wild spaces.
Sure. Tiny wild
I
spaces.
ended up doing a full moon ritual at Nikon. The last convention I was at, it was a full moon. It was foggy, as mentioned, and there was just one of those glacial erratics in the middle of a courtyard of this old Catholic university where we were doing this, and a group of us got together. It was Saturday night / Sunday morning, as you do at conventions. And one of us brought a candle, we brought snacks, and we put in things we wanted to release, that things that were like holding us back, that we were afraid of. And we, lit them in the candle, put them on the rock, and let them kind of just go to ash. And then when we were all finished, a bunch of people randomly came over with alcohol and food. And we're like, the universe heard us. We have offerings.
You were summoned.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Ask and the universe provides.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yes, we should. You should check out this cool ass book.
House Between Worlds. Yeah. I was going to say, I can't build a House Between Worlds, Oz. You already did. And it's amazing.
You should definitely read it if you have not already.
Yeah.
It's really good.
For sure.
I was saying, Haley's book also made me think of New England. No, I brought it.
The short story,
Uh,
The Haunting of Bone of the Coal
the
Monster on the
Briar Hall
Bracken-
or whatever.
Bracken,
Bracken Hall.
because I never read it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also wonderfully gothic, and it felt really New England to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So earlier I was cackling because when Trisha was running down this awesome list of all the cool things that are in this area, the implication that Stephen King was one of the creepy things in Maine almost made me like just die.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
I think he'd co-sign it. Yeah.
I don't think the man would disagree. Also, he is like literally the first horror author I ever read. I tore through all of his books when I was a teenager, probably a little too young for some of them.
I
Same.
feel like that's an origin story for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so his son also, I love his sons, Shohill and Owen
Yeah.
King. Both are also excellent. And if you haven't read anything of his wife, Tabitha, her writing is also wonderfully creepy. And yeah,
Nice.
whole family.
There
Great.
is something about Maine. Like Maine is a giant wild space, right? It is not a tiny wild space.
yeah.
It is a
Yeah,
it
because
is
you've got Acadia
untamed.
National Park, and yeah, actually has one of the few spots, Mount Katahdin, where you actually can't bring dogs. That was a random conversation I had at the barn, because they smell too much of other predators, and it messes with the ecosystem.
Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Maine, there's a reason I made the main character of a recent book. She is from Maine for many reasons, but one of them is giant wild spaces. Who
It's
knows
just
what goes on
weird.
in the
It's a
backwoods
weird
of
place.
Maine?
I remember a conversation with Marisa very shortly. It was either shortly before or shortly after I moved here, where you were like, all right, let me break this down for you. And Marisa broke down like the different personalities of the different New England states. And I have to say, and that's what she said about Maine. She was like, Maine is just weird. People from Maine,
Love
weird. Going to Maine, like it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Like they're lovely people, but they're weird.
Don't
Everybody's
be out in
weird.
the dark.
Yeah,
Maine has the Cryptozoology Museum.
Yeah, Maine
So
is weird.
everything you want to know about Sasquatch, Mothman,
Yeah.
and all of that is this awesome little museum in Portsmouth, Maine. Walking distance from one of my favorite restaurants, Duck Fat.
Feels like we need to make a road trip. That sounds great. Let's do
This
that.
is- yeah.
Food and cryptids.
Also, you guys are
Everything we
seeing,
need.
we're like, okay, Trisha, we're here now.
Yes.
Please take us around.
Please to take us places. Thank you.
Oh
My
yeah.
favorite.
I think I posted a couple different things for you guys. Because we've got like the wolf rescue, which I took Scott to.
I need to
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Come visit,
Yeah, there's a wolf
Melissa.
rescue in Ipswich.
Children.
I need to see the wolves.
Yes. Come visit.
They're my people.
Well, we might let you go home.
Probably you have kids.
That's not really a threat, honey.
Yeah.
Until it starts snowing, then my butt's out of there. Mm-mm.
That's fair. That's
No more
fair.
snow.
Fair.
Yeah. You can be a seasonal
Okay.
visitor.
Seasonal.
On the topic of snow, I have a confession to make. All right. I am speaking from a place of incredible privilege because this is my workspace. I don't have to leave my house.
Yeah.
I have a really long ass driveway and I have a badass husband with a 4-wheeler and a plow, and he handles that shit like a boss.
Mhm.
Speaking from that place of great privilege, I fucking love winter up here because again, I sit here and like the beautiful fat snowflakes drift down outside my window, and it's, you know, against the backdrop of my second growth forest woods that I own, and it's like, oh, this is so gorgeous. Why does everyone hate winter here? Because I don't have to leave the house. Because I can stay here and have my groceries delivered.
Because I
it
can
is warm.
still very clearly remember the day that I walked up to my bus stop, up the hill just one way, up the hill, and watched my school bus drift down the hill and around the corner and be fully unable to stop. And I was just like, but we're going to school today because the ground was this thick, just ice, not snow. Nobody can drive in ice. Don't let anybody lie to you. It's impossible. It was pure ice storm, and just the gracefulness of the slow Tokyo drift of a giant school bus just flying by gently. I will never forget it. And
Yeah.
also, like at that time is when your eyelashes freeze together and
Yeah.
your nostrils, like
Yeah.
there's ice up your nose, and your hair freezes
Yeah.
to your neck and like crackles off of you, and your
Yeah.
jeans like defrost somewhere around third period. That's why I hate winter. That isn't my life anymore. Sure.
Right.
However, that's
I mean, to be fair, I experienced all of that, as a first assignment
of course.
lieutenant in Montana,
Sure.
flying helicopters and stuff.
Sure.
But so like I've done my time, but,
I'm not saying you
from
did
the
it.
place where I am now, winter is
I think-
beautiful.
Hard to let go.
Part of the New England thing with winter is New Englanders hate winter, but we love winter because we love bitching about winter.
Oh, sure.
Like that is
Yeah.
part of the
National
core of New
pastime.
England. Is
State
all of the
pastime.
horror stories we have surviving winter. Fill in the blank.
Regional
'Cause, like,
pastime for sure.
I've been in that Tokyo drift down the hill in several cars, and like I survived that. That's my badge of honor. My mom was an Avon lady, so we were driving all the time, and just the stuff we drove in. And then like we also have this like almost elitist feel about surviving winter and driving in the snow.
Okay.
Because if you ask anyone in New England, we have opinions about how the rest of the country drives in relation to snow.
Oh
Yeah.
Michigan people cannot drive in snow, but Kacey has a story. So
So this is like my earning my New England street cred, right? So Jeremy, solidarity and misery. I last winter I was driving to church, and we had it had just snowed, and they had mostly cleared the roads, but they were still kind of slick because it was like drizzling. So we had that like icy snow or icy road, slick drizzle. And I'm driving to church, and there's a snowplow coming the opposite way, and we're on a straightaway. We can see each other, and my back end breaks loose, and my car's pretty heavy. Like I have a Tesla, so it's pretty heavy, right? So my back end breaks loose, and I like handle it, correct, steer into it, correct for it, regain control. And as I'm passing, I make eye contact with the snowplow driver, and I see he's like, okay, all right,
nice.
I see you, Tesla, you got it.
That's awesome. No, my two final straws were back in my 20s when
you're like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, when I did not know the hell that awaited me in summer in the South. I think that year in college was the first in like 15 years or something, because UMass Amherst does not do snow, or did not do snow days, because the last time they did a snow day, a bunch of UMass students went over to Amherst College and started a snowball fight that ended for went on 3 days, and I think people got arrested. Like, it was a problem. You can't let UMass students be unattended, so you cannot cancel school.
Accurate.
So we had Nick Steverson. I will punch you in the throat.
Walk right off.
So we had a snowstorm that winter. We lived in this farmhouse. I don't even remember how it got heat. Maybe it didn't have heat. Who knows? It was drafty enough that it might as well not have. But I walked outside one day because classes were not canceled. And I couldn't find my car. It had snowed so deeply that the cow farm behind us and the dirt parking lot that we had were just a sea of white. No cars to be seen, no street to be seen. And this was after like the 15-minute fight to get the door open, because our doors opened outward for some idiot reason. Sorry, our door opened inward, but the flimsy screen door opened outward. So it took 3 of us to get out of the house. And then we were just like, all of us were like, fuck it, we're staying home. And I think they did cancel school that day, but it took like until noon that they were like, never mind, no one can get here. Like, the professors aren't here. We don't know what to do. And then also we got like 2 feet of snow the weekend before I graduated. Memorial Day weekend was when I graduated. And I was like, deuces. So I moved to Baton Rouge in June, like a dummy. But here we are. That's a different story.
And you came back in January.
And then I moved back to Massachusetts. The universe was just waiting. Like, the whole time I was like, okay, sweetie, we'll see you.
Well, I'm really glad you're here. I appreciate you coming back
Me too.
to hang out with me and Trisha.
To Casey's earlier point, there is something about the vibe of Massachusetts. I mean, I was born and bred to it. Got at least one generation behind me of solid Massachusettsers. these are my people. Like the assholery, the cynicism, the complaining about other.
Yeah.
These are my people. So
Yeah, for
There's-
sure.
it's
we
good
were
to be back.
talking. Yeah, we were talking at NeCon, the last convention I was at, about and yes, we are massholes, but there's this thing with people in New England act mean. We act like massholes,
But
or
our kind,
wherever you're
yeah.
from, but we're actually very kind. So
Mhm.
we may like see you pulled off in the side of the road and be like, what a bleep, but we'll help you out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We'll
We
complain
might
about our
complain about
neighbors
it the whole time,
while we're
but we'll be
shuffling their
kind.
driveway for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kindness
What are you, a fucking
beneath
idiot? Come
that
here.
really
Let
rough
me do
exterior.
that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's some hot
Yeah, that
chocolate while I
was-
bitch you out.
That was 100% my experience moving here. So in part because of my background as, as a military brat, moving all over the world, moving all over the country, and then being on active duty and moving to all these different places. All these places have, their little microcultures, right?
Mhm.
New England was never on my radar. I never thought about coming here, but I'd always heard that people in New England were assholes and they're impatient and they don't nobody has time for anybody or anything like that. And I moved here and I realized that was not true. Hi, Olive.
She has been
What-
circling me and crying the whole time.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sweet bear.
Why I'm glaring at the side.
Yeah. What I did notice is that people are impatient for sure. And they will 100% call it as they see it, right? Like there is a bluntness because ain't nobody got time to beat around the fucking bush. We're going to tell you how it is. Yeah. Winter's coming. That's right. We're going to tell you how it is. We're going to do what we can. But I did notice that people were like, when we when we were moving into the community here and getting like utilities set up and mailboxes set up and all that, everyone was so excited that we were here. They're like, oh, that's great. You moved here. Congrats. We're so excited to have you. And I'm like, really? You're the guy at the post office. Why do you care? What do you, like, they were genuinely kind and happy to yeah. So it was, I have found that very much to be true, Trisha, that like New Englanders are kind, but blunt. Right. And that works for me because I try to be kind, but I'm fucking blunt. Like, and
Yep.
I feel like it's the original and accurate fuck your feelings crowd. Like,
right? Like, hey, your feelings matter, but they don't matter to me.
Not to me. It's not my problem. So if you could cease making it my problem, that would be great.
That's right. Yeah. And Jeremy also has a point. He says it's mostly the drivers, and there's validity there too, right? Like you got to know what the fuck you're doing. You got to get on your gas pedal. You got to go. You got to commit. If you're wrong, fucking figure it out. Yeah. Come back around. You'll get back on the highway eventually if you have to. Might take a while. Like, yeah. Oh, and here's another point about winter, right? In winter's defense.
Winter does not need defending.
There is
at least when it snows and there's ice, it fills in the potholes.
That part's nice.
So it's a little
fair.
bit smoother when you drive
fair.
because, oh my God, my poor suspension.
Oh, anywhere where you get the constant freezing and defrosting.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Oh, yeah. So.
You guys, this dog is falling asleep, sitting up on my lap right now. This is ridiculous.
Oh, man.
This is adorable.
It is adorable.
If at any point you saw me roll my eyes or just look to the side for a long time, she's just been circling me this entire time, hitting me with her nose like she's a seal and then crying about it.
Just want snuggles.
Yeah.
I haven't been held in low these many years.
Look, I was like, I was at your house yesterday and she was snuggling.
Yeah. Her life is
how does Olive like New England?
So Olive is not a very big dog, in case you're wondering, by the fact that she is on my lap currently. The first winter she was up here and the snow touched her butt when she tried to pee. The look she gave me was like, bitch, I am from Houston. I am not just a Texas dog. I am a Southern Texas dog. What the shit? So
Oh, Ben's here! Yay!
Hi,
Hi, Ben. Yes, the seasons and places
Yes.
with significant
Yes.
winter are winter and road repair.
Yes,
Road repair.
construction
Yes,
is
also
our big
accurate.
business. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's the great thing about construction, particularly in Boston, that I've noticed.
Mhm.
It's a surprise. Like they
Oh yeah.
when the roads are closed and
Yeah.
when things are on. Like Google has no idea. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
right down the street.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one with the barriers? It says road closed.
It says
Find a
detour.
detour.
Cool.
But there's no
Right.
like detour sign anywhere.
Right. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, that's
Cool,
everywhere.
man.
That's everywhere. Worcester's got that too. Like
Yeah.
Literally
it's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah. Super
Jeremy,
fun. Super
my
fun.
husband realized real early. He's like, "Oh, this is why you have trauma about driving, because I grew up pre-GPS, right? Pre-internet directions,
Okay.
and you get off the highway in Massachusetts. God bless you. Who knows when you're going to get back on? Because you can't get
Yeah.
back on where you got off.
Yep.
Good luck.
You gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the
Also, you don't know when you're going to find a gas station.
No,
So like
Yep.
you
lost.
don't
Good luck.
you don't drive your car to like the end of the tank because
Mhm.
it could be 40 miles
That's right.
to a gas station
Half
that's
tank.
listed on the highway as gas station, this exit
Yikes.
somewhere eventually, maybe.
No,
Yeah.
Oregon Harvesters, that exit. No, there's no gas station. Yeah, so I'm a half tank girl still to this day.
Mhm.
I will not get off the highway to go try some rest. No, absolutely not. We will go to where we're going. Jeremy's like, Google exists now. It can redirect you. I'm like, not here. Because you also will still lose service. You will be 10 minutes out from the
true.
second largest city in Massachusetts, which is not very big, but still. And your phone's like, service? I don't know her. No.
Yeah.
So you just stay on your path.
Yep.
Stay on your path.
Yeah. The intersections are also super effing weird. You've got like the 5-way, 3-way,
Yes.
half a
Yes.
rotary. Like it's like a 3-way intersection, and then one of them
Yes.
goes to a rotary, and then
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the rest of the country are trying to get rid of their rotaries. New England's like, we'll take them.
We'll take them all.
Give us your rotaries.
Bring them all in.
And we're gonna call
Yeah.
them roundabouts.
No, I'm sad
Yeah.
to tell you, North Carolina has started to build rotaries. I'm like, why? They are terrible. Nobody knows how to use them.
See, I like traffic circles because I don't know. I think they make sense. So yeah.
Hey, Haley.
Hey, Haley. So Nick says the overall mentality for the highway design in Mass was basically fuck you in your driving experience. Actually, Nick,
It was oxen times.
to be clear,
fair.
the overall mentality for highway design was moo.
Yes. It was from the oxen times, my loves. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, all of the roads were designed literally by cattle trails,
Yes.
oxen trails.
Yes.
Yes.
And now, thank you, ladies. Now I'm thinking about
It's
steak.
a rotary. A rotary.
Mm.
Oh,
Talking about food. here.
rotaries.
I'm starving.
Trisha wants to talk about
Food.
rotaries first.
Oh,
Well, Leah asked, what is a rotary? A rotary is when you have two or more, even though it's like sometimes only two, and they
Sometimes
come
six.
together around a circle like an island,
yeah.
and you have to merge and then unmerge to get
It's a
off.
roundabout.
And
Yeah, a roundabout or a traffic circle, Leah.
Yep.
It's just they call them rotaries here.
And this is the circle of
Okay.
hell they were invented in. So it's
Yeah.
from here. Yeah.
But I hear the food is really, really good. AKA the reason outside of you ladies why I will eventually visit, because food.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Sell me on the food, Trisha. What you got?
So before I wrote fiction, I was a I was a food writer, restaurant critiquer, and all of that. So I
Okay.
love the food up here. There is in the cities, you've got a lot of people from various ethnicities. So you have like in Worcester and Boston, Springfield, a lot of types of food. So you've got like Vietnamese, Korean, Indian, South African. We actually have barbecue that has pleased people who live in barbecue states.
That barbecue place you took us to was legit, dude.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Texas 15 years. So that place hangs.
Yeah, and then I mean we have all the seafood, various lobster, clam fritters, so many ice cream shops too. Like there is so many ice cream shops, like little itty bitty hole in the wall creameries.
We make it in house. It's brand. Yeah.
Yes.
It's yes.
From our happy cows.
I will visit
Yep.
for the ice cream alone.
Oh yeah, and you get to go play with the cows. A lot of them have like mini golf things attached, or like meet the cows, or come play over here. So a lot of them are tied into a lot of the local farms. So and there's also a lot of local farms here where you can get like fresh milk, fresh eggs. I know of like 7 different CSAs for vegetables and meat,
Nice.
which are farm share groups. And then there's a lot of like artisan sausage makers. There's just so much. And then, so another place that I love going is Rhode Island, where when I go down to Rhode Island, if I'm heading into the center, like I can walk to a Korean place, an excellent pho place, proper ramen. Then this like little like streamlined those like streamlined not quite diner cars where you can just get like a fresh make hamburger and this massive milkshake that I can't even like fit on my screen. And then like the French fry bars,
What are you doing
where you just
tomorrow?
go
Right.
huh?
Sorry, keep talking.
Oh.
So what are you doing tomorrow? Because I think I need a giant milkshake.
And French fry bars?
I'm totally down for a giant milkshake. I say should come to me. So I say Necronomicon is in a couple weeks, and I can walk you to any place in Rhode Island there, and it's just going to be amazing food.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So
I will say, no, go, Marisa.
Okay. So here's the thing. So Nick is not entirely wrong, right? So I am from here. Didn't eat out a lot as a kid, like, whatever. Moved to Louisiana, and I was like, what is this? And it was seasoning is what it was. So there is a definite truth to that not things aren't always properly seasoned here. But to Trisha's point, so the unfortunate truth of Massachusetts is, for as much as northern states like to say how enlightened and open and progressive they are, okay, no, that's a whole lot of look at how cool we are, and it's lies, just like anywhere else, right? So things are real segregated still up here, and you've got therefore pockets of amazing fucking food, but you're not going to get it in some of these stereotypical little enclaves of traditional Massachusetts food. You gotta actually go look for it, and
look for it. Yeah.
And not hard and not far, but you do have to look. And there is a ton more here now than there was when I was growing up. And again, I didn't go very far, right? Like I was in my little town and I was afraid to drive anywhere because you'll get eaten. And then I went out west and there was great food, but college town food, which is fantastic, but not super like diverse, I guess. And so upon my return, I have done more explorations, and holy shit, there's so much good food here. So totally second Melissa, but we cannot ignore, we cannot ignore the fact that when I sent Tony, my stepmother came to visit me in Louisiana, and I made scrambled eggs with Tony's in it. And she was like, I had to ship it to her every couple of months, right? Because they didn't sell it up here. I think they do now. But they didn't sell it up here. And she was like, I'm out. Send it to me. I need it. I need it for my eggs. My eggs are terrible without it. So that's real.
That's true. And actually, you bring up a good point, because Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut.
Most of the rest of New England, we know Connecticut is one of the New England states. We have opinions about Connecticut. I'm sorry for those. Except most of the people I know who live in Connecticut, like, you're right.
Totally. I have a theory. We'll come back to it after you and Kacey. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, you.
But yeah, so, and also I would say you're also right, Marisa, like the food renaissance in New England has really been in the past 10 or 15 years where we've really seen a big blossom in, the different types of foods, the restaurants, and all of that.
Well, and the other thing that I've noticed about, so like I said, my experience is specific because I literally just moved here last year. That was the only time I've ever been in New England, other than being in the airport in Bangor, Maine, on the way to Iraq with Melissa. Right? Like that was it. So
only time I've been there, in and out.
Yeah, but the town that I live in is like what Marisa said. It was an old mill town. It's called Fitchburg. It's an old mill town. It was pretty economically depressed for a really long time. And you know, whether that's related or not, or whether there's correlation or not, there's a relatively large population of people who are not white bread America who live here. They're, you know, so we have a diverse population, which lends itself to some really awesome dining options. I feel like I'm saying something really bad here, but like we've got amazing Mexican food.
Melting pot is what gives you the good food,
Brazilian,
right?
oh my God, the Brazilian food. There's a large Portuguese speaking Brazilian community here in around Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Oh my God, feral ladies on the road sampling food.
Yes.
Yes, this must happen.
Yes, like diners, drives, and
Perfect.
dive-ins, or
Yes.
you know what I mean.
Feral,
I said that
feral
wrong.
eats. Feral eats.
Feral eats.
I love it.
Feral
Special
eats.
episode.
Eat feral.
Yeah. Eat feral.
I don't know.
But so that's been really fun. Like to Marisa's point about, you know, where these pockets of diversity have showed up. That's been really fun to like explore. And the other thing that I've noticed is like in a lot of, because the area where I live is, I don't live inside the town. I live in like a suburbia, but not really suburbia. It's like almost half rural. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Because again, it's different than than other places where I've lived, but it's been really cool because it's not like there are restaurants, but they're not chain restaurants. They're like one-off restaurants.
No.
Yeah. I saw that.
I could hear Jeremy cackling from across the house.
Yeah.
That was a snort from a minute ago.
So yeah, restaurants, but not like chain restaurants, right? Like I haven't been to, you know, a freaking Applebee's and I don't know how long, right? Because there's
too much
A, they're not easy to find, and B, there's too much other stuff around. So so that's been really cool. And then like Trisha was saying, the fresh food. I've become so much better of a cook since moving here, just because almost out of self-defense, because it's not as, you know, fast food is not like as easy to come by. I actually have to cook.
So to Nick's point, a very, very, very long time ago, once upon a time, I left Massachusetts many, many years. And I did summer school teaching in Texas, in also Houston, Texas. And I was teaching Texas history, and I was like, ugh, only Texas would have Texas specific history. And one of my friends, one of my Teach for America friends was like, hey, Marisa, you're from Massachusetts, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, how many years did you study the Revolutionary War? And I was like, several. And he was like, yeah, did you talk a lot about like Virginia? No, it's really just Massachusetts. So it's Massachusetts history, but we called it Revolutionary history. But it was just Massachusetts. And so at that point in my 22-year-old life, I was like, maybe I should look. It was, you know what, Nick, it was 23 years ago. I'm 45. Go fuck yourself. So that is your time math for today. So anyway, but it made me look a little bit more interestingly at my upbringing and my home. And then when I was teaching Louisiana history, we did a lot of colonial, like what were the colonial times like? And I had this epiphany, and I'm going to give it to the internet to confirm or deny. This is my idea of how the New England states interacted, and it is all based on colonial times. So once upon a time, all of New England was basically Massachusetts. That was the colony charter. It was all Massachusetts. Massachusetts still to this day believes it is the center of New England. And that's fine. So that's Massachusetts. Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont at various times were like, hey man, we're like real far away. This isn't really working. And Massachusetts was like, you're right, go with God. And so that was like super easy, chill. And like still to this day, Maine's like, Maine shares a border with Massachusetts, but it's still very much like, no.
We're not them.
We're so far away, you guys. And Massachusetts,
we're not them.
Maine, for New England, Maine is a very large state. Texas laughs in Texas, I know. But for New England, it's real long. It's real tall.
Yes.
So, and then New Hampshire and Vermont still want very little to do with the rest of New England, right? They're like woods, and they're doing their own thing. They're making syrup. They've got Skiville. That's all exciting. Connecticut was like, y'all, you're dragging us down. We're like real rich and we just want to be rich over here to the side. And Massachusetts was like, you know what? Fuck you. You're basically New York anyway. Go be Dutch.
Yeah.
And then Rhode Island, sweet bear Rhode Island. Massachusetts was like, y'all are weird. Like, you're doing some weird religious stuff. Like, I know we did like pilgrimage shit, but we kind of left that behind. We're just going to make a little box and you guys just go be there. And I feel like these relationships all still live to this day in between the states, where New England is like, Rhode Island, we don't know her. Connecticut is basically New York, and also like,
New Hampshire's like, fuck all y'all. Y'all can't tell me what to do. Na 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 na.
No one is the boss of me, motherfuckers. Yeah, so that is.
I don't have any taxes. What's up?
Property taxes, and those are real high. Because turns out
we don't talk about those.
Don't tread on me, but do pay me all your money for your house. Thank you.
That's right. Live free or die, but pay me all the money for your house.
Not all the way free, just like a little free. But they say
live free or die, but you know it's not free. The fact that you get to own property.
Taxes and death. So that is Marisa Wolf's theory of New England. What do you think, Trisha?
I would say that's accurate. There's like some weird, so New England also has the weird liminal spaces though. So like the borders between the states are special. And I think special is a good word for this. It's not an island. You're right.
Neither a road nor an island. Discuss.
And the thing is, like, Massachusetts is so different in the different regions of Massachusetts.
Yeah,
like Western Mass is Here Be Dragons.
Yes.
And depending on who you ask, Western Mass is anything west of Worcester. Or if you actually live in Western Mass, real Western Mass is west of Springfield, which is almost New York.
The Berkshires.
But then South Shore, North Shore, Boston, Central Mass, Cape, and the islands all have very specific cultures and all have very specific accents and dialects. But like if you live on the border of like Connecticut and Massachusetts, like you switch back and forth to see who's charging taxes on what, and then you just bring it back.
You get gas.
Funny, someone said like Connecticut's the whitest state. It's actually not.
It's not.
Connecticut has the highest percentage of Puerto Ricans in the entire United States.
I did not know that.
I think it's New Hampshire, right? New Hampshire is actually the whitest state.
Yeah. It's either New Hampshire or Vermont that is like the whitest of white.
They just went to do their own thing, you guys. There's no.
Yeah. So it's a weird, but you've got the very huge distinctions in Connecticut where you've got like the Connecticut's who are by the New York border and like the places where there's money. And then the Connecticut where you've got the racing, where you have a lot of like lower income old mill villages. And then you've got the cities, which are very urban and all of that. So it's weird. It's very, very weird. And like most of New England.
Connecticut just real quick, because I saw this on the internet streets. Red Sox Nation did a line, like the map of how Connecticut breaks down. And there's a pretty sharp line like right through Connecticut of like Red Sox fans, Yankees fans. And then I think they even drew like a tiny little circle there, like these are the Mets fans.
That checks out.
Jeremy says Connecticut isn't even a real state. It's a road between Boston and New York. Connecticut's just 95.
It's the worst road. It is the worst. All of the Connecticut roads are terrible. I
mean, we don't have a lot of room to stand on that, to be fair, Trisha. Like, all New England states are terrible. It's winter's fault. The end. Definitely not our taxes vanishing into Christmas.
Right.
Eaten by dragons.
Dragons. It's the dragon. Ooh.
That's right.
I will take that, because I don't want to say anything that's going to get me murdered, but I will say back in the day when absolutely sure that Whitey Bulger was hiding in one of the unopened floors of our library because his brother was the president of UMass Amherst at the time. And so that was 100% the story. And kids, if you don't know who any of those people are, go ahead and Google them, because I ain't getting shot. So
you know what's funny is I went to UMass Dartmouth, and UMass Dartmouth also had that same rumor because we had also secret underground hallways
Yeah.
between all the buildings. And if you take a look at UMass Dartmouth on any map, an aerial map, and the story for UMass Dartmouth was it was designed by Aleister Crowley because it's like almost pentagram shaped. And you've got, they were aiming for like Nautilus and Brutalist. There's a big old, the benches are like 666 in the middle of the quad. There's a big old tower in the middle. Also lots of wild land. We were going out hiking. We nearly stepped on a witch who was communing with nature. No lie, real facts.
Okay,
The UMass. All the UMass.
All the UMass.
Oh my God.
love
That's
it
so
so
funny.
much.
Man, I thought my school had cool rumors with underground tunnels and connections to Cheyenne Mountain, but
Yeah.
no
maybe
witches.
you guys would like watch out for alligators down in Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
I will always remain sad that one of our UMass rumors was not true. And you know, this was early internet days. You won't remember, Nick, because you're a fetus. But when I went to UMass, the rumor was Scooby-Doo was based on the 5 college consortium out there.
Oh,
And
yeah, I've heard this.
Yes,
Right?
I
And
heard that.
it checks out so well. I'm mad it's not true. So we're just in this circle going to pretend it's true because UMass is Scooby, Hampshire College is Shaggy, Ken is Amherst, 100%. Daphne is Mount Holyoke, and and Velma is Smith. And like, it's so perfect that the day Google, I want to say it was one of the very first things I Googled because it was post Ask Jeeves time. And when I found out that it was not true, I was like, you know what? No, it's true. It's true for me.
10% truth. That's all that's required.
10%.
I agree, sir. 100%. Like there's no question about any of these. All of these are accurate. I say it as the Scooby.
I don't know who this ghost of Gurlu Titus is person is, but I
Delightful
really
the whole
like
time.
them. Yes,
I'm so glad you're here.
I think you win this episode, sir or madam or person of great respect, whichever applies.
However you choose to identify, we like you.
Yes.
The Yukon women's team is pretty baller. We no shade.
That's true. No shade there.
Yeah. I'll say this. So one of the things that I love about New England is we actually have a really huge writer community. And a lot of conventions. And one of the things that, like, when I got to really start talking with you guys is there's like a whole contingent of New England authors in genre fiction, and we don't talk with the rest of the country, and the rest of the country forgets we exist, even though there's a bunch of New York Times bestsellers making livings every day. And like, if we just like talk to each other, we could do a whole bunch more, but we don't. And the reason for that is that, like, if I wanted to, I could do a convention or conference pretty much every single weekend of the year and drive there.
Nice. That's wild.
So like we have Arisia in January, BosCon in February. There's like 5 of them in March. There's April, I do Rising Phoenix. And like there's more that I'm not even like mentioning. I'm just the ones that I know. So like there's like every single state has at least one Comic-Con or anime con or literary con, like Cape Cod is starting a literary thing. So there's, I mean, Vermont has like Bookstock. And so there's a lot that we do. And there's a lot of people who buy books in New England. Like it's a big deal. Like people in New England want our books. There's like little free libraries everywhere. And the librarians, everyone I met is awesome.
Nerd culture is big here, but it's much. You're right. That's a thing I've also noticed is that it does seem to be more book focused than other forms of media focused too. Because that I went to BosCon with Trisha for the first time this past year, and I was like they want books, like Dead Tree version books.
Nice.
So you know, if you're a writer and you're looking to sell some books, think about getting a dealer table at BosCon or Arisia, or because people buy your stuff, man.
We have a convention called ReaderCon.
Yeah.
We sold out of my books at ReaderCon.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I didn't bring them all, because then I sold out the rest of them at Nikon the following week.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But like all of my friends around here when we go to a con, we show off our book hauls from conventions.
Yeah.
Like it's a big photo thing on Instagram and Facebook. This is my book haul from this convention. This is my book haul from this convention. And it's like, it's a matter of pride of like what books you brought back.
Yeah.
A lot of the goodie bags, several of the publishers will give swag and ARCs in goodie bags to some of the smaller cons that are literary focused.
That's
so
fun.
it's really, and a lot of podcasters are in the area. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love it here. I love it here. It's great. You guys know what time it is?
Yeah.
It's time to wrap up, apparently.
Yep.
How did that happen?
So we've been chatting for over an hour, and I could keep talking with you ladies all night, but at some point we need to eat dinner and stuff. So Trisha, what do you have coming up? What are you working on? I know you've got the novel that you're finishing up. So
Yes. So I'm currently finishing the third book in 27 Kingdoms, Hunter Healer Earth. Now that I have a functioning computer, it'll be done sooner. And also I hit 2 major cons. So that is what I'm currently working on. I just had my first collection come out, which is Where Monsters Prey, which is like,
yeah, look at that.
I love it.
And that's the one that I sold out of at the last 2 conventions. I literally had to go put in an order with my publisher so that I have some for Necronomicon. I was like giving out cute little swaggy bags with stickers and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also have a short story.
Sorry.
I
have
a short story coming out in the latest New England Horror Writers, which is Wicked Abandoned. And that is a cool little short story about the Shisa dogs of Okinawa and ghosts and stuff like that. I'm really proud of it. And then I'm also finishing up some editing projects for other clients that I edit for as well. And then NEHW stuff too.
Very cool.
Someone had a question for you about solar punk. Sorry, I was trying.
Is solar punk a thing up here?
Yeah.
In New England.
Thank you. And so it's pen and ink. And my publisher actually hand did this for me.
Yeah, sorry, that was
I have
yes.
art in the middle. Come on, actually flip to an art one. So he actually handed all of these.
Yeah, those are very cool.
Yes.
Those are very cool.
Yes, and that was Maya's thing. Accurate. These are gorgeous. But Trisha, somebody wanted to know, is solar punk a thing up here?
I was actually on a panel about solar punks at ReaderCon. So it is a thing. We actually have a magazine that I was chatting with the editor at ReaderCon that is still taking stories on solar punk, looking at climate genre fiction and things like that. But solar punk is like, first of all, it's like the idea of positive punk, be rebellious and make positive changes. And yeah, it's still a thing up here.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome.
And yes, also ghosts. I did in fact have a small black bear on my lap. She also launched herself a little while ago and headbutted me really hard, so that was cool. So she's currently holding my arm. So we'll see. Oh my God. Please stop moving. Okay.
Marisa, you want to go next?
Sure. I am Olive's mom. That is my job, apparently. It takes a lot of time.
Really?
Yvonne said earlier that she needs a friend, and no, thank you. No, she just needs to be an only child for a little while, I think. So yes, last week I had my very first urban fantasy book come out. There it is. Look at that
ass. That's right.
urban fantasy books right here. So that is Valkyries Chosen. It kicks off the Valkyries universe. The next book will come out in like 2 months, and that will be Marisa Olthoff's Shadows May Fall, which is very exciting. Next year, there will be one from Kacey and I, TBD Untitled. And if we're very lucky, in the next year or so, we'll also have one from Trisha. So, it's not a quadfecta of Valkyries authors here.
Yes.
So
Also, Matt?
Matt Novotny.
yes. But I was
next
doing the
year,
Feral
right?
Ladies later this year
Oh,
in November.
sorry.
You'll have Matt Novotny with Soulmate, and so Melissa's and Matt's books are already done. So go ahead and buy Valkyrie's Chosen, and you'll have 3 books this year to dig right into urban fantasy, shenanigans, snark, delightfulness. It's a wonderful. Olive maybe will make a little cameo. Who knows? But yeah, you can. There are tons of other things happening. I was also had a short story that I wrote with somebody else on this call, so I might as well hand it over to her right now.
Yeah, so it was me. Hi, I'm Evan. It's me. Marisa and I wrote a short story together. It was called, at first it was called To Be Queen, but then we decided to change it and call it The Big Secret. And it is a story set in the Ashes of Ventiscia universe, which, there you go, there's the 4 books. And of the one furthest to the right on your screen right now is Remnants of Empire. That came out last week. It is an anthology of stories set in this sandbox that I created with some help from Chris Kennedy with the first 3 books. So one of the bit part players in the 3rd book, there it is, The Conqueror's Promise, is the character that Marisa and I kind of give her backstory in The Big Secret. So we hope you like that very much, because that is sort of a lead into our next project, which we are starting drafting on in 2 days. By the way, I don't know if I told you this, but I sent you that outline. It's
amazing. So excited.
So
yes, I would say so. You have been my favorite person in this whole comics. All of you are amazing. You commenters, I love you all. So if you are very, very pro snark, you will probably like anything anybody on this call writes. I would strongly recommend, super biased, but I would definitely recommend Valkyrie's Chosen. And then just read like everything all of us write. Because Melissa has made me goosonk. I have made terrible noises in reading her books. And Kacey and I feel like really polished our snark writing with each other over years. So
yeah.
I mean, I've sounded like a dying moose reading Marisa and Kacey's stuff.
And Trisha is going to make you feel real creeped out, but then also you're probably going to laugh about it. You're welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You're going to laugh and then decide that you're a horrible person for laughing at what you're laughing at.
Yes.
She's like, yes. Yeah. So good.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Who are you, Melissa? No, what are you writing? I don't know. Whatever we're talking about. I'm not hosting.
Okay. I'm not dying. It's fine.
Here to help.
So Nick Steverson and I wrote a short story for Kacey for the Remnants.
They did.
It was super fun. Like, think angry Irish princess, arrogant Viking bastard in a marriage competition that didn't quite go as planned. And probably a follow-on novel next. Not probably. I already have plans. So there will be a follow-on novel because their voices, they're in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because I love co-writing so much, I got to team up with my Obi-Wan boy, Casey Moores, and we have the 4th book in Bill Fawcett's Blood and Armor series coming out this Friday.
Okay.
Dang, she is pissed off. If you want to know why Nisty is pissed off, pick up that book on Friday, because we did very, very bad things, and I'm not sorry about any of it.
Never sorry.
And then, like Marisa said, I have Shadows May Fall coming out in September from Hit World Press. It is urban fantasy romance and enemies to lovers and very, very evil magic bad guys. And it's so much fun and snark. So.
Yeah. Shadows May Fall is a great title. I didn't know that was the title you settled on. I love it.
So, fun story. I called that draft Fuck If I Know for the longest time. I actually sent it to Marisa titled Fuck If I Know.
It was F-I-Y, no, what was it? F-I-I-K?
Yeah. It was like the ridiculous, most dumb thing I could think of. And then I also sent Marisa, so I build playlists when I write. I have like a bunch of songs I listen to, and one of them, like the song that goes with the final battle, has Shadows May Fall And Marissa's like, "Is this your title?" I'm like, "Yes." Yes,
You
it
made
is."
that sound much nicer. Melissa was like, I have no idea what to name it. Title this for me. Also, BT Dubs, here's my playlist. And so I was listening to it and I was like, which one should I listen to first? She's like, oh, this one. And so I'm listening to the song and it's amazing. And I was like, hey, dummy. You told me this song is the entire fucking vibe of your goddamn novel, you big, smart, dumb face. Could this be your title? And she was like, well, fuck yeah, I guess it is. And I was like, all right.
It is. And then I was
There's
like,
the mass hole girl. There's the Massachusetts girl right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
and then I'm like, oh, because she gave me that title because she's awesome. I'm like, now I have the title for book 2 and book 3.
Mhm.
Fires will rise and storms can rage.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like that. It's fine.
I take zero actual credit for it. That's always my favorite thing is when my brilliant fucking friends already know the answer and they put it in front of me. And I'm like, hey, is it this? And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, that was you the whole goddamn time. But you're welcome.
Baby
Secretly,
Baby Tank. All Marissa's fault.
secretly though,
Hashtag
folks,
catalyst.
yeah, right? Like, secretly, this was also how I executive coach. So call me.
Oh yeah, Kacey,
Oh, yeah.
on Inside CKP this Friday because I am doing all the podcasts.
Fuck yeah. Also,
Oh, thank you.
had him.
I mean, same.
Got him.
Same.
My favorite
Friend,
trip.
same.
The best. She does
Yeah.
it real freaking
She's
well,
really well.
too. Yeah.
Real well. Yeah.
So
Love you.
So if you haven't already, subscribe to CKP because then you'll get notified when cool things like Melissa and Nick's video goes live. Nope. Yes, also them. But this time, Kacey Morse and Melissa.
Nick was about to be really surprised.
God damn it, Nick.
It's like, yeah, Nick, you owe him a manuscript. Where are you at, bro?
Yeah, where have you been? Weirdo. Fine. Anyway, if you enjoyed your time with us, you're welcome. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Please hang out with us. We do this stuff on a regular basis. So it was really cool to meet you too.
Yes.
Thank
you
Hey,
for
Ghost,
coming.
are you my friend who lives in New Hampshire? I'm curious. Let me know.
We'll find out. Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah.
All
Come
right.
hang out sometimes. We'll have good times, Melissa.
So now we know what we've all got coming out. Trisha, tell everybody where they can find you on the internet and for the rest of the year in person.
Yeah, well, you can find me at novelfriend.com because that's the business name I started years ago for my freelance editing and writing. And I will be at Necronomicon is my next convention. That is in Providence. It is 2 weeks before Dragon Con, which is Labor Day weekend. Then there is Bookstop. Oh my gosh. It's a book fair in Framingham, Massachusetts that my friend Alyssa is putting together. It's like a spectacular book fair.
Fun.
So that's free to attend. Come out, meet authors, buy books. Then Silver Scream in Worcester, 10 minutes from my house.
Nice.
Is another horror metal, if you like metal, heavy metal music and horror, and crafts and authors. It's an awesome one. It's run by Ice Nine Kills. I think I have that last weekend off because it's my anniversary of 24 years. And then it's October. And
Jesus.
there's some stuff up in the air. I know for certain in October I'll be doing the Merrimack Valley Halloween Book Fest, which is in oh my God, where a whole bunch of authors live that I know. Haverhill, Mass, which some people call Haverhill. It was mispronounced many times in both Stephen King and Joe Hill's books. That is also a free event at the Haverhill Public Library. There's usually about 60 different authors that go there and sign books and panels. Again, free to everyone. There's a lot of book stuff out here that I can drive to in a matter of an hour to 2 hours. And it's free for people to come.
Yeah.
I believe there's another one end of October also in Worcester at That's Entertainment. I need to follow up on that. And then in November, maybe for the Cape Cod Book Fair. Yeah, there's a lot.
Windows.
Love it.
So
I love
find
it.
me at a novel friend and sign up for my newsletter, and I will let you know all the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
All right, Kacey.
You can find me online at kaceyezell.net or .com. I own both. In person, my next event will be DragonCon in Atlanta, Georgia over Labor Day weekend. I will be attending pro there. And it will be super fun because I'm rooming with Marisa and Melissa if she gets to come.
Yeah.
So, sleepover special. What's up? And then after that, I will do FactoryCon, and then I don't think I can announce it, but there's another thing coming up in early 2025 that I will be involved with.
So exciting.
So, yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. MarisaWolf.com, MarisaWolf.net. I go both ways. And you can find me obviously at DragonCon. As announced, I will be chilling with my ladies. No, why? No.
I stole your thunder.
Shared thunder, y'all.
Shared thunder.
Shared thunder. And then in October, I will be at Deep South Con. I'll steal Melissa's with Marisa Olthoff and Mel Todd and many other wonderful people. So much fun, you guys. Deep South Con is in Helen, Georgia, which is like a Bavarian town dropped into northern Georgia
Nice.
during
Oktoberfest.
Well,
I'm so
nerd
jealous.
fun, beer fun,
I
German
know.
food fun.
I don't even like beer, but I love German food.
Right?
And I
The schnitzel.
totally want, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
It'd be really fun.
Hey, Deep South Con, invite me next year.
There are
There's
different
some German
places.
food up here. There's a couple good German restaurants up here.
There are, but also Deep
Yeah.
South Con is in a different place every year. So,
Fair.
I mean, they could still invite you. It'd be amazing.
Sure. Yeah. So.
Okay, I am at melissaolthoff.net. I do not go both ways, but I am working on that, as one does. And like the lady said, I will be, fingers crossed, my husband has his schedule half worked out, so fingers crossed for DragonCon. I should be there. Knocking on wood. And Deep South Con is a go because Oktoberfest and a con, yes, I am so there.
Right.
And that is it for this year. And my husband, who is a saint with organizing his schedule for me, is very grateful that there are no more.
Fair.
So thank you guys for hanging out with us. This was so much fun. Y'all were great in the comments. And
Yes. And we probably all should try to go to Deep South Con next year because fuck yeah, New Orleans.
and did you write that up? Because Valkyries is based in New Orleans, and we need to do some research. And eat shrimp.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremy's shutting us down. Jeremy's saying the get out.
Thank you.
Good night.
Closing the windows.
The bartender turned the lights on. You can't go home. Or no.
Music on.
You don't have to go home. You can't stay here.
Yeah.
Can't stay here.
We don't know.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.